So hello and welcome you back to the last part of the Ugly Potter 2 on the PlayStation 1. This is the final stage of the game. It is also quite sadistic.
It's also quite moody.
It is quite cool though, so I don't particularly mind. However, it is the only place where the checkpoint system is actually becomes evil. Well, normally if you die, you just get respawned almost exactly where you were, right? Like at the beginning of the room that you entered, or at the beginning of the section where you were, you know? And you know what happens here, though?
You start all the way from the beginning.
You saw that cauldron there, yes? That is where you start. This was a great intro.
Yeah, that was really good.
This is my third attempt at this. Do you want to know why third?
Because you got interrupted the first two times.
No, what happened was, the first time, I got killed by a glitch. Well, the game just stopped.
Oh.
It just like froze completely when I destroyed a spider web. The other time I got killed and then got sent back, and this is my third attempt. Which is also why I am starting off from these doors, because this is the only challenge. Each one of these doors contains a challenge. You can do them in any order you want. He's a lot bigger than he seemed.
Holy.
So Dark Souls completely ripped off of Harry Potter 2 on the PlayStation 1.
I believe
completely.
it.
This is the Dark
and yet
Souls
it's a much
Origins.
inferior game to being a ripoff.
So yeah, you can do each and every one of those in any order you want. I was curious what was gonna happen if I stood on this. This is the only part where you can actually die, which is why I suggest you do this one first. Because otherwise it gets really frustrating. The other ones, it's very hard to actually die on them. They're more puzzly than the combat heavy, which is good. Because while combat in this game is sufficient, it's definitely not a highlight.
Yeah.
And the nights here are a little bit unpredictable. Especially since there's an annoying part about the way they work. You can actually only fight them when they're active. And they randomly turn off. Which makes dealing with them really, really annoying, because you may want to snipe them out, like when they're active, and you can actually hit them. But see, now he's inactive. I can't target him. What a troll. I mean, ideally you wanna fight them because, you know, house points and whatever the fuck, but Slytherin isn't gonna win, and you know that. Slytherin isn't gonna win even if you let all of those live. Alright, so that raised one of those platforms over there. Actually, the last one, which is why it's a little bit funny, because there is a specific order in which they want you to do those, but you can do them in any order you wish.
Sucks.
Just wanted to be pet. You have to actually pick up a specific rock that they want.
How are you supposed to know which one it is?
Trial and error.
Oh.
Or maybe you have to just drop them from high enough, and I didn't do it that time. Either way, you can pick between targets in this game, so it's not a big deal. You have to deal with trolls again. They follow the exact same rules. Don't stand right in front of them and they won't see you. You can walk very, very closely behind them, but the moment you're in their line of sight, it's all ogre.
I hate you.
Excuse me, I at least had a good excuse to use that terrible thing.
No, you didn't.
No,
you didn't.
Totally did.
No.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Sadly, because those fly above the ground and B.A. Potter cannot actually reach them, they actually thought of that, damn it. And and this is the spider web that actually crashed my game the first time. Worked this time though. So at the very least, what I can say about the crashing in this game, while it exists, at least it's random.
Right.
It's not like some games where it's just like every time you do that thing, it will crash. Like the PAL version of Wild Arms 4, where it's like you go up this ladder and the game crashes. Over. Can't do anything. Or at least it does so in the 50 Hz mode. You can fix that by going to 60. Why do you need so much attention? Damn it.
For real.
Oh, it's just timing so...
Don't even give a fuck.
So much to dodge. And here I was trying to get a little bit more potions, and this is where I found out, oh, I can only use those once.
Yep.
There was technically still one more that I could have picked up.
Let's do it. The final countdown.
I mean, we were already up the stairs, so...
Ginny! Ginny! Don't be dead! Please wake up!
She's alive, but only just. Ginny's been writing in the diary for months, pouring out her soul. And as she did, I grew stronger, until I had enough power to start pouring a little of my soul back into her. Ginny Weasley opened the Chamber of Secrets. She daubed threatening messages on the walls and set the Serpent of Slytherin on the Mudbloods and Filch's cat. I'm afraid Ginny told me all about you, Harry. So I decided to show you my famous capture of that great oaf, Hagrid, to gain your trust. One day, I hoped to lead another in my footsteps, to finish the work of Salazar Slytherin. I knew you were on the trail of Slytherin's heir, so I led Ginny down here to wait.
Tom Riddle was my filthy, non-magical father's name. Do you see it yet, Harry?
I am Lord Voldemort, and now, Harry, I am going to teach you a little lesson. Speak to me, Slytherin, greatest of the Hogwarts Four!
So, remember how every single fight against the Basilisk is terrible in these games?
Yeah.
This one's no different.
That said, this basilisk looks way cooler than all the other ones.
Yeah, it has a lot more of that lightning going on. Is he supposed to have lightning? I don't think he is. But whatever. His first phase is actually pretty okay. I mean, it's basic, but it goes by quickly.
Yeah.
It can't be said about the other ones, though. Well, the other phase, because there's one more after this, and it's way longer than it has any rights to be.
You've got a Gryffindor sword. Maybe I can redirect the Basilisk venom.
Got all that?
Ow! This venom hurts.
Do I even need to explain why
That
this...
control does not look good.
No. Also, there is no challenge to this, because the moment you get the prompt, you just press the button and hold it, and then you slide across its teeth, and it's like if you just keep pedaling back like this, he cannot suck you in. And he only throws the acid very close to him, so why does it need to take so long?
Yeah, you figure with how unwieldy this is, they'd make the beam at least drain its health a little bit faster, you know?
Yeah, and it's like I think they expected this control to be a little bit more responsive, for you to actually be able to aim at those two incredibly tiny targets, and it only gets worse. It only gets worse because at least now there are two targets. Later on there is only one. I do have to say, the one game where they didn't mess this up, or rather they messed it up in a less terrible way. Well, I mean, the PC version was alright, and the PS2 version was passable. The Game Boy Color version is alright. It's a really easy fight with very little strategy to it, but at least it goes by fairly quickly. But this takes way too long.
You know, for this game, weirdly enough covering almost everything from, you know, the move, the one thing they forgot to talk, or maybe they did and I just forgot, but the one thing they seem to have forgotten about was how is Snake getting around the school, which was via the pipes. I don't think they mentioned that in this one.
No, not at all, actually. They actually did not mention that. Which is weird because otherwise they have covered a lot of details that even the movie missed, like the Valentine's Day thing, the Borrow, which was also in the PS2 version, the fact that they had a ghoul, and a few other things, which was really nice, but it missed the one thing that every other iteration made a really big point of.
Yeah. Here they just kind of skipped over.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the PS2 version skipped over a lot more vital pieces, like for example the whole thing about Lockhart, not there.
Right.
He was just one of the geezers. That's it. He never betrayed anybody.
No.
And see, this is where the thing gets a lot more particular. It's like all I have been doing was backpedaling.
Also, I'm surprised none of the games included the iconic scene from the movie of when Tom Riddle reveals himself. You know, like, all the games just kind of have him do it via dialogue.
I don't
like,
remember
the arranging of the letters.
I don't remember if the Game Boy Color version did that or not. But we will get to it. We will get to it.
I'm surprised they remembered to include that.
Yeah, the whole stabbing, the diary.
There was silence. Silence except for the steady drip of ink still oozing from the diary. The basilisk venom had burnt a sizzling hole right through it. Shaking all over, Harry pulled himself up. His head was spinning as though he'd traveled miles by flu powder. Ginny drew a great shuddering gasp.
It was me, Harry, but I swear I didn't mean to. Riddle made me. He took me over.
Harry told her that it was all right, that Riddle and the basilisk were finished.
Come on, Ginny, let's get out of here.
They were flying upwards, and before he'd stopped enjoying the ride, it was over. All three of them were hitting the wet floor of Moaning Myrtle's bathroom. Harry told them everything. He told them about hearing the disembodied voice, how Hermione had finally realized that he was hearing a basilisk in the pipes, how Aragog had told him where the last victim of the basilisk had died, how he had guessed that Moaning Myrtle had been the victim, and that the entrance to the basilisk's lair, the Chamber of Secrets, might be in her bathroom. Professor Dumbledore explained that 50 years ago, Lord Voldemort, as a 16-year-old Tom Riddle, had enchanted his diary, and that diary had enchanted Ginny. Later, Harry managed to release Dobby from the slavery of Lucius Malfoy, for it was Lucius Malfoy who had planted Tom Riddle's diary on the hapless Ginny Weasley. And as for Harry, well, once again, he truly was the boy who lived.
What a shot to end on.
So that was the second Harry Potter on the PlayStation 1. And what a game this is.
Let's see who will win this year's House Cup.
Oh, who will
okay,
win?
so they did mention the pipe thing, they just waited until the end, unlike everything else.
Oh, who will win? Is it gonna be Ravenclaw? Maybe Hufflepuff has a chance this year.
That'd be hilarious if Ravenclaw just suddenly got like 8 million points.
Hufflepuff?
This is the only game where Hufflepuff doesn't come in last.
Yeah.
Slytherin.
Maybe Argonaut had a thing for Hufflepuff.
Gryffindor.
Nah.
They did an online test and they were all Hufflepuffs.
Gryffindor are in the lead with
Yes.
6 points. Gryffindor.
All of the candles are happy.
All of those beans. But yeah, now the game is properly over.
I liked it.
I think this is definitely one of the best ones. And there is something really cool about the credits. They're not actually using... They're using pictures of the actual developers.
Oh wow.
Yes, they edited themselves into the pictures that are present in the game. Which is more apparent here.
Right.
And
So I'd
here.
say, in terms of Harry Potter 2, in terms of gameplay, the PC version is definitely the best one.
Like in terms of responsiveness and
Yeah.
like overall polish, yes.
But in terms of pacing and story, I'd say this one wins.
In terms of story, like pacing combined with the story, yeah, this one. Because in terms of story in general, the Game Boy Color game has the upper hand because of being a JRPG.
Well, yeah, I would figure as much.
Yeah, and well, you haven't seen that one, and considering the two you've seen, which, you know, the first one, which was very accurate, and then the third one, which was a travesty in terms of storytelling. Oh, but we all love it still.
Yes. So happy that the Game Boy Advance one turned out the way it did.
It was so good.
And what's George Washington doing here?
I do love how they all included themselves as portraits,
And tried to dress up like.
and then
know,
special
as
thanks for all of the names.
Actually, wait, something just hit me. There's one major thing this game dropped the ball on in terms of story.
What?
Where the fuck did Dobby go?
Well, Dobby appeared at like 2 points in the story at the beginning,
Yeah, I know, but then like he never shows up again.
yeah, that is true. He never shows up again, and they also do not mention how. And also never mention how Harry actually released him from Draco's slavery.
Yeah,
Or Malfoy, whatever. You know what I mean.
right.
But at the very least, he actually does get more than one appearance and a mention. Unlike, well, in the PC version, he appears at the beginning. That's it.
Yeah.
In
That's
the PS2
true.
version, he's on the box. He's depicted in the cover art, but never to be seen in the game at all.
So all the games just kind of forget about Dobby.
Except for the Game Boy Color one. Although
So weird.
Although I am not familiar with the Game Boy Advance versions of 1 and 2. They were, like from my experience, they were very clunky puzzle action games.
Gross.
Yeah, like, just like what I really don't want to play on a Game Boy Advance.
Yeah.
They had a lot of families working there, I noticed.
Right. Well, hey, if it worked, right?
Mm-hmm. They seem to have put them in the alphabetical order based on the surnames, from what I noticed. It's weird that they still put the European staff, especially since this is the American version I was playing.
That is odd.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like, in the European credits we do get the American stuff, but that's usually because they were the ones responsible for actually translating a game.
Right.
We just got it ported over to PAL, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it would make sense to include them. I guess here it makes sense as well because Argonaut was a European studio.
Yeah, probably.
But it's not like they needed to translate it again. French, Spanish, and English were already in the. I guess yeah. They had to take over the French, Spanish, and English versions from the European version of the game, and remove the Dutch one and the German one because nobody would want that.
Nobody except for you.
Well, Dutch versions of Harry Potter games aren't that bad. Actually, much rather prefer the. Much rather prefer the remake. The remake of the first game played in Dutch because the Dutch Harry does not get quite as excited over every flavor of the beans.
Yeah.
And here is Dumbledore.
Where the fuck has he been?
In pre-rendered pictures, but nowhere in the game actually.
Pretty
This
much.
is his first appearance in Engine.
Seriously.
I think they realized that at the end and they were like, oh yeah, here he is. For
He was in the
lols.
credits the whole time.
He was waiting for you here.
Why does he keep adjusting his glasses when they're glued to his forehead?
I guess it gets pretty itchy.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, this game is from 2002, alright.